I felt like, people love for sure see picture of the vineyards of the cellar, but it has always to be more personal. There has to be a personal touch somehow, and show that we're all humans. It's we live in a real life, so we have a good part of our characters, some flaws as well. We have dogs, we have family, and I think it's pretty nice to show this.
Benvenuti! Welcome to The Next Generation. With me, your host, Giulia Stocchetti. Join me as I take you on a journey to discover young stars of the Italian food and wine world. Pronti? Andiamo! Hello, hi everyone, and welcome back to a new episode of The Next Generation on the Italian Wine Podcast. Today, the main topic will be wine and social media and wine clubs, because I have here as guest Giovanni Correggia from Matteo Correggia Winery, who's based in Roero, a pretty famous wine region located in Piedmont. Actually, I have to say I discovered him really online because I was looking for some new young producers for the series, and I was so amazed about his social media activity, his social media profile with such an engagement, so many followers, and I was like, okay, I should definitely interview him because of course he makes good wine, but he is also into promotion and he definitely knows how to address new generations. Welcome, Giovanni. Ciao.
Ciao, Julia. Thanks for having me.
It's a pleasure. How are you today?
I'm good. I'm good. The weather is a bit rainy outside, but I'm good. Can't complain.
Yeah, we got the sun inside, so wherever we are, we bring the sun, and it's no problem. Some rain maybe is good, right? Also for the vines.
Exactly. Absolutely. That's why I'm happy.
So perfect, nice. So you see, when it rains, sometimes it's also good.
Okay.
But Giovanni, can you please tell us a little bit about your background?
Of course. So, first of all, I was born in Alba here in Piemonte, and I grew up literally upstairs the winery. And that was something I think very important for my childhood because I remember many times watching outside the window, especially during the harvest period. I always saw these guys working hard, literally working hard, but at the same time, always smiling. So happy. They were happy about what they were doing. So that was probably the sparkle that made me do winemaking schools later on and start this career. So when I was 14, I applied for the winemaking school in Alba, which is a great school because they have a lot of hectares of vineyards and a cellar as well. Therefore, beside theory and books, there's a lot of practice, and I really like that. Back then, it was 6 years, so I finished when I was 20. That was in 2012, and in June 2012, I joined the winery full time straight away. I spent a lot of time in the vineyards, a lot of time in the cellar as well, just to get my feet wet and understand every single part of the winery. And in 2014, I spent some time in Australia, a few months. I've been working in a winery down there in Barossa Valley, and I really enjoyed that life experience. I picked Australia because it was good in order to learn English for sure. But on the other side, Australia is in the southern hemisphere, so they are picking grapes right now, which is a kind of a quiet time for us now. And therefore, I was already at the winery back then since 2012, so been 2 years, and I just wanted to be away in a quiet period of the year instead of the rush of the harvest.
So basically, from one harvest, the Italian harvest in the northern hemisphere, you move to the southern hemisphere for another harvest. No rest for Giovanni, who is eager to make wine.
In 1 year, a bit more than 1 year, I did 3 harvests, so definitely much rest, but it was fun.
You're the only one I know that actually made 3 harvests in a year. That's unbelievable.
If you count 365 days per year, would be like if you start from September, would be a harvest in Roero, then Australia, and then back starting a harvest in Roero. That's what it meant. But it's a lot of harvest in a short period of time.
Yeah, and how was harvesting in Barossa compared to Roero? Was it so different?
It was very, very different. Most of the harvesting was done by machines. So actually, I was working in the cellar. Everything is huge down there when they do even just test, trying, I don't know, different yeast, different fermentation. Tanks were huge. So the whole production of Matteo Correggia could fit in just one tank. So it was definitely very, very different, but it was great. I had the chance to learn a lot about different grapes. They were working especially with Syrah, Grenache, Riesling. That helped me, to increase a little bit my knowledge in wine.
Yeah, definitely. They have more like international varieties there. They don't have so many indigenous grapes like in Italy.
Definitely not.
Yeah, and everything is bigger. What's your favorite thing to do in the winery?
I'm an all rounder. I do a bit of everything. I study winemaking, and the production part is what I like the best because that's what I studied for. But fortunately, I have a good team. There's a guy, his name is Luca. He's been with us since 25 years and he's only 47 now. So he's been with us since the beginning. So when I travel, which is a big part of my time, I'm traveling, I'm always feel perfectly safe in very good hands. But I always try when it's possible to be there during the harvest, during blending, during bottling, because I'd like be part of the process as well. Therefore, I manage the winery, so we go towards everyday kind of situation from like, I don't know, ordering the corks to labels or dealing to buy new tractors, everything we have to do, I kind of do that. My mom is still, working with us, but she's a little bit more to the side and takes care mainly about bureaucracy. And I'm very happy about that because I don't like bureaucracy. And you cannot imagine how much bureaucracy there is in the wine world and actually every kind of work in Italy, I would say.
It's a pain, but
It is, man. It's huge. It's huge. In the past few years, we kind of keep a steady quantity of bottles, but we had to hire more people, and those people were mainly in the office to face the bureaucracy. So that's a big signal.
where's your winery located?
So we are at Roero, as you said. Roero is very close to Barbaresco and Barolo. Is on the other side of a river called the Tanaro. We are on the left side, and all the Langa region is on the right. So of course we are talking about Piemonte. Roero is a magic place. I mean, since we are not super famous yet, at least not as famous as Barolo, there's still a lot of biodiversity, which is something very important. In my opinion, is the key. Organic and biodiversity in agriculture are definitely the best to be very sustainable. And the most famous grape are Nebbiolo, Barbera, and Arnese as a white varietal. And beside that, we have a bunch of other grape a bit less common, small production. I'm talking about a Sauvignon Blanc, like 4,000 bottles max, a very tiny production of an international blend, kind of Bordeaux style. We do some bubbles as well from the Alta Langa region. That's a new project that we started a couple of years ago and is doing well. So we do a white and a rosé bubble under the Alta Langa appellation. So it's exciting.
Nice. So you told us what kind of wine you make, basically, but what's your favorite wine you're making right now?
So I was raised and born in Piemonte. So Nebbiolo is always in my heart. I'm very open-minded. When it's not work, I love to try someone else's wine, to learn more and see what other people are doing in terms of style and different point of view on the wine itself. But I always say at the end of the day, if it's a group of people, the last bottle before going home, it's always Nebbiolo. So big fan. Nebbiolo from Roero because we have a lot of sand as a soil, tends to be a bit more elegant and playing on finesse, which is a style that I like a lot. And I feel most of the people today, especially young generation, likes a lot too.
Well, I think you should feel blessed because no one is so lucky to have a glass of Nebbiolo every single day after work. Apart from wine, is there anything else that you do, any other hobbies you have that people can't expect just watching at your social media profile?
Yeah, I mean, I like running. I do work out as well sometimes, and especially these two things are something that is important for your body to be in a good shape, of course. But the main thing for us is a good chance to turn my brain off for like 1 hour and really thinking about nothing, flying with my mind. That's why music is a must, is mandatory. If I have no music, I won't go running because I will get bored after 1 kilometers probably. That's part of my routine that I try to do more and more, but sometimes it's a bit difficult to find the time. I like to read, a big fan of thrillers and crime books. So every night before going to sleep, I always dedicate like 15-30 minutes reading a book. I do trading online. I do invest in different assets as well, which is not a hobby because I try to do that in a very professional way since we're talking about money. But yeah, that's something that I like to do as well on my free time.
So sometimes being so young and running a winery means like you feel a bit the pressure and you need just to do something else to turn off the brain and just switch the day thinking about something else or even not thinking, just doing something.
Exactly. Yeah.
I found something you don't share on social media. I'm glad because I was like, oh my God, he's always sharing all the experiences, all the travels, all the wines, all the tastings, all the friends, the family. But I was like, it can't be only about wine. So now we know you also have like your secret moments that you just like to share with your inner self to rehearsal from a long day of work. Talking about travels, I saw like a post. There was like a caption saying, "How does it feel like taking more or less like 40 planes a year?" And I was like, "Oh, wow. So, how does it feel like traveling so much?"
So it's good and bad, of course, at the same time. And traveling is good because I have the chance to meet always new people, make new friends. And anytime I go home, I feel like richer, like my cultural knowledge is a bit bigger than before because of the friendship I made, because of the knowledge that I have about that specific market. I kind of try always to understand what's the best wine I make in that specific market, what usually people drink, and what usually people know about my place. So next time I'll be there more focused on specific wines, and I'll try to use a specific vocabulary that fits better the market itself. So it's quite enriching from that point of view. But of course, it means a lot of time at the airport, a lot of early flights, so jet lag as well. So not much time to sleep as well. So sometimes it's very stressful. And I feel like there's either people who love traveling or people who don't. And I feel like I'm in the middle because I like traveling, but there's sometimes when I'm in a very busy and intense period of the year, I would pay, someone else to go instead of me and stay more and more home, spend more time at the winery, spend more time with the family. And now I got a almost 2 years old baby daughter. So every time I go away, I always feel like I'm missing some pieces of her childhood, and it's sad, you know what I mean? So it's important to find the perfect balance for sure. My rule is I never do trip over 2 weeks, because over 2 weeks it's too much for me. I don't want to talk with people anymore. I don't want to tell the same thing the whole day anymore, and so I might be rude as well. I might become rude, and that's definitely not good, especially when you're away and you're trying to sell wine.
Yeah, definitely makes sense. I got a kind of sneaky question for you now. You said that traveling, of course, you get in touch with new cultures and you understand the flavors, the taste they prefer most. So, when you're making wines, you have in mind first the market or the place where the vines are grown?
Definitely a place where the vines are growing, because the philosophy is to try to make the best we can depending on how the vintage is and how is the terroir. But I think it's very important keep in mind the flavors that every market has. If we go back in the years at the end of the 90s, those wines, even our wines, were super oaky, very big. You can cut them with a knife. They were so thick. That was especially the US market one. And there was, Robert Parker as a journalist, and everyone was trying to make that kind of wine, that style. Now everything is different. So it's a good sign because we don't want to be stuck in the past. But it's very important to see how the world is going, where is it going, and trying to keep up.
Yeah, so basically you're making the wines depending on the terroir. I mean, you're following the nature, what the soil can give you, and then you just look for the right market for those flavors without being influenced too much from what they actually want.
Exactly. That's the point. That's what we try to do every single vintage.
So that's why you travel so much. You said that Rero is not really popular nowadays, but maybe it will be in the future, even if being famous is not always all pros. There are some cons, but if someone comes to visit Roero for the first time, what do you recommend to do, to eat, to drink, to feel, to see?
In the past 10 years, 15 years, Roero grew a lot. So fortunately now there's a big choice in terms of restaurant, wine bars, and stuff like this. We have like 3 Michelin stars in Roero. The village where the winery is located is called Canale. It's only a 5,000 people village. It's quite small. One of those star Michelin restaurants is there, and there are at least other 4 or 5 very good, more easygoing kind of restaurant. But anytime you go there, you're always happy about the food, about the vibe as well. And then, as I told you before, there's a lot of biodiversity in Roero here that is important. There's a lot of paths to go hiking or for mountain bikes. It's pretty fun actually. There's a place in Roero, it's called Rocche. It's like a cliff, it's like a tiny canyon made of sand. And through this canyon, you can go from north to south Roero, and there's lots of very beautiful paths. Again, either hiking, going with the dogs, or just using mountain bikes. It's pretty fun. So today, there's a lot of things to do. On the other side, I feel lucky because we are very close to the Langa region as well. We're very close to Alba, like 20, 30 minutes. So you can, go back and forth and have fun doing a lot of things.
So it's a really nice spot where to go to have good food and a good experience, immersing themselves in the nature, and of course, good wines and close to Alba. So there's truffle. Well, there's basically everything in Roero.
That's everything. A lot of white truffle, exactly, because white truffle needs oaks, needs woods. Since we have a lot of it because of the biodiversity, a lot of beautiful white truffles are coming actually from Roero. So there's really everything in here. You can find all you want.
And so, what's like the signature dish of the area?
We have a particular prosciutto which is cooked in the oven with some herbs as well, which is so difficult to find. But it's pretty much only made here in Roero. It's quite fun. It's a very tasty kind of prosciutto, a bit more rich than the classic one. I love it.
What of your wine would you pair with that prosciutto?
It depends on the season. So I don't mind a good Arnese, a good white wine, especially if it's summertime. We make a Riservo of Arnese. The current vintage of that wine is a 2018 now, so we just released the 2018. Quite amazing, still very fresh, amazing color. That would be a perfect fit, especially for summertime. Otherwise, maybe a nice, either Barbera or Nebbiolo. I like Barbera with prosciutto because, there's always a tiny fat taste on the prosciutto, and the acidity of Barbera goes so well with this fat taste in many dish.
Okay, now I have a question of mine like Barbera or Nebbiolo?
Nebbiolo, Nebbiolo. I have Nebbiolo who runs in my vein, in my blood. But I am a big fan of Barbera as well. I gotta say, I like Barbera from Alba, from Asti as well. But again, at the end of the day, Nebbiolo would be my pick.
Okay, and why?
Because it's so complex. I love the tannins. I love the nose of Nebbiolo, which could be very different depending where you are. It's probably one of the grape that changes the most depending on where you're planting, where you're growing the Nebbiolo. So it's so fun to smell and trying to understand if it's from Roero, from Barbaresco, from Barolo. Certain areas are more fruity, other are more balsamic, more minty on the nose, and so the tannins are different as well, more intense, more silky. So it's really intriguing. Taste as many Nebbiolo as you want.
Nice. So it's really terroir expressive.
Exactly.
Talking about your, let's say, customers or people who reach out to you for your wines, what experiences do you offer at your winery?
So we do a lot of visits and tasting. Is the best way to place a face or a philosophy behind a glass of wine. And I think that's very helpful in order to remember you. We always, prefer bookings just because there's some time of the year that we're so busy. We have so many visitors. I always get visitors if I have the time, if myself or some coworker of mine have the time to do a proper full visit, because it has to be well done. And if I put aside me being humble, I can tell we always have a very good feedbacks about how we do visits and tasting. Lots of people write us email once they get home just saying thank you. So it's a very important part of the business as well, but very important part of the marketing as well, because when people come every year and bring more and more friends, it means it's a good sign.
Definitely. And maybe this is something that inspired you to found your own wine club. Because I was surprised when I found out that you actually founded a wine club, and it's not so common for wineries in Italy to have one.
Yeah, I found it Open Up Wine Club during the COVID, but not at the beginning, a bit after that. And I'll tell you why. COVID period was tough for everyone. We work mainly with Horeca and with private people. All the restaurants were closed. Private people couldn't travel, so it was tough. We had to figure out something. I took the tiny mailing list that we have, sent some emails, and I shipped some wine to private people. And all these people were always very happy, to get by the door the wine they order. It feels good with this thing. Plus another thing that I always had a lot of requests both on Instagram or emails from people asking about how was the vintage, how was the harvest, and I always reply one by one. I was like, let's try to make a community. Let's try to make a website where people can subscribe. It's a free subscription. They can get wine if they want. They can get my newsletter. I send just like 4 or 5 newsletters per year, so not much, where I write about updates about how was the vintage, how was the harvest, and anytime I have some particular news that I feel like to share with our community. And the community subscribe at this wine club has benefits because from time to time I send some special offers for them. And in the special offers, you always find some old vintage, usually, that it's very difficult to find them anywhere else because everyone is always focused on young vintages today. And sometimes I send new vintages in absolute preview. So the subscribers who get that box of wine would be the first in the world to taste that new vintage. So, I try to award these people who put faith in us and decided to join our wine club.
So basically, everyone from around the world can join the wine club. You don't have to be based in Italy or in particular countries.
Exactly. We have some country where it's a bit more difficult to ship, like Asia, for instance, is quite difficult. Australia is possible, but sometimes it's expensive. But at least just for the newsletter side, everyone could subscribe and stay up to date about what happens here at the winery.
Yeah, just to keep in touch, it's like having a community, and it's always really important. And I guess you took inspiration for this from your social media, maybe, because everything started from there. You were responding one by one to people texting you and asking you questions. So, what's your secret to be so prolific, so active, and to have such a great engagement on your social media?
So, as you might have noticed, we don't have a Matteo Correggia Instagram account. And that was my choice since the beginning when I first subscribed to Instagram years ago, because I thought about what I like. I like the backstage. I like to see what's behind the scenes. I like gossip as well. And I feel like most of the people like that as well. So I thought I'm going to do my page on myself where I could share every day things about Matteo Correggia's wine, but even about my private life. My dogs. My dogs became famous. When I'm at the winery, they're always with me. And if you come here, visit the winery, they will visit the winery with you. So you gotta be a dog friendly person if you come here. They became a mascot at some point. And I tell you this story a couple of years ago. I was in London. We were doing a portfolio tasting, so a booth, a bunch of bottles, waiting for people to come and taste. And this guy's approach, I never seen him before. And he goes like, "Hey, how is Mora? Mora is my chocolate lab that is always going around here at the wine." And I was like, "Really? We never met. You probably never had the wines before, but you know how my dog is called. One of my dogs is called, because then we introduced a golden retriever as well called Leia a couple of years later." And I was pretty surprised. So I felt like, people love for sure see picture of the vineyards of the cellar, but it has always to be more personal. There has to be a personal touch somehow, and show that we're all humans. We live in a real life. So we have a good part of our characters, some flaws as well. We have dogs, we have family, and I think it's pretty nice to show this to people. I've never been a big fan of some of Instagram pages of important wineries as well, that you go there and you can tell the picture just perfect from a technical point of view. They're very well done by some professional photographer, but then there's no personal touch. So that specific picture, I could personally use it because there's not much personal touch on it, and I don't like that much.
Yeah, definitely makes sense. So, when it comes to content creation, what do you do? Like, there's just a moment you're living and you're like, okay, this moment must be captured and posted on social media, or just you sometimes planned things to happen?
Most of the time it's just I like this, I need to take my phone out, take a picture, take a video. So I tried before, but I have zero plans. I have no plans about what I'm posting the following day or the following week. Zero at all. It's more live. I like this. I take a picture or something interesting, like let's say pruning is happening in the vineyards, and it's something very interesting. Most of the people maybe don't know much about it, so I'm gonna make a reel. I'm gonna make a video about it, and try to show to people who never seen that before. Because something that most of the time I think that my colleagues forget is that we live here, we were born here. So for us, pruning, harvest, everything that happens here is normal. But for someone living in New York, in Tokyo, or just in Torino, it's something completely new. And if you're a wine lover, you want to see that. You want someone who explains what's happening now, why you prune, and how you prune, right? So that's very useful, and I think is what most of the people want.
So, it is like a virtual diary
Exactly. Virtual diary, I like it.
happening in real life instead of like watching the Big Brother.
Exactly.
What's happening at Matteo Correggia Winery with Giovanni being like the main character, director of all the social media contents and of all that happens. That's really, really interesting.
Yes, that's the idea.
The success is being yourself. That's it. Not seeking for perfection, but being
Absolutely
perfect
not.
what you are.
If you watch my videos and stuff, they are not perfectly taken. I make mistakes when I talk, but It's part of the game. That's how I am. I don't want to do that video like 1,000 times, trying to reach perfection, because it's more a diary, and in diary there's some mistakes sometimes, and that makes you human, makes you real.
Yeah, definitely. And also build an experience that makes you better day by day. When I look at someone's profile, like Instagram, I stay there for just maybe 2.5 seconds and then I skip and change. But when I came to your profile, I was like, oh, look, in the stories, in the highlights, there are all the harvests, all the different grape varieties. And actually, people can learn from your social media profile, even if they don't know anything about the varieties, the place, the wines you're making. And of course, also about yourself, because I saw also your beautiful family, your dogs. And it's really interesting. And I was like, oh my God, I spent even more than 2 minutes on this profile. What's happening to me? I have to reach out to him and just interview him because he definitely has a lot to say. And what you have to say is something real, is real life. So that's what I think is much appreciated.
That's great. Thanks for sharing. That's the best feedback.
Well, happy to hear that. But yeah, now I'm curious to meet your dogs. So, because I'm a dog lover. So,
They're lovely, lovely.
I should come to visit Ruero for sure. And then
Of
I
course.
love Arneis, I love Nebbiolo, I love Barbera. All the wines from Piedmont are great. So,
And you love dogs too, so you're in the perfect spot.
I got to. So, they're like my best friends. Like people say, oh, you're the owner. And I'm like, no, we are friends. We are roomies, we are friends. There's no owner. Of course, there are rules. Otherwise, they're always like sticking to me. But yeah, they're great. So, yeah, love animals.
Amazing.
That's it. How do you see yourself in the future?
I feel myself in the future here at the winery with more wisdom, with more experience, maybe with someone who's helping me traveling a little bit, because it's something that is getting more and more important today. There's lots of winery, lots of competition, so you really have to find a way to be more known somehow. Of course, quality is always the base ground. That's no matter. Big fan of quality. We spend a lot of time studying every day, every year, new techniques to use, and what could make our wines better. But still, communication is getting more and more important. So maybe someone who helps me could be a good thing. And maybe my girlfriend and her family, they make wine in La Morra. It's called Agricola Brandini. I'd like somehow to get more actively involved in that winery as well. It's a different area. Some of the grape is different, some others are the same, but the philosophy there, of course, is a bit different. And it could be a good way, to learn more and become more professional and more knowledgeable in wine as well.
So you met your girlfriend like under a vine during a harvest, during a tasting, or no, in a completely different situation?
It's a different situation, but not that different. This is a fun story. We met at MasterChef, the TV show. Sometimes they do episodes outside with the chef outside. And there was this episode where the chefs had to cook for winemakers and truffle hunters. And we were both invited as winemakers. So that's where the sparkle started.
No, wait, that's fantastic.
Yeah.
Well, I could sit here asking you a bunch of questions for the rest of the day, I guess, but since we're running out of time, I just got last three rapid fire questions for you. So, Giovanni, making wines or traveling promoting wines?
If I think about the winery, I would say traveling, because again, quality is the best, and fortunately, we're very in a very good hands today, so I can travel safely, and that's a good way to make your brand more known. If I have to think more from a personal thing, I would be more winemaking, more time physically at the winery. So I have to find a balance between those. Sorry, I didn't reply to your question, but it's a difficult one. It's a tough one.
Yeah, I know, but you replied in a way. So, in terms of social media and wine club, if you have to pick one and one only, what would it be?
Social media, because wine club now is not big. I only have like 500-600 subscriber, which is not bad, but there's still a lot of space. But especially social media can do that kind of big brother we said before. It's something that you can reach more people and show them your life on a daily basis if you post enough. This is something that on a wine club you can do that. But usually when people love what you post, they will subscribe to the wine club as well. So it goes back to that.
Right. Guys, I'm definitely gonna subscribe to Giovanni's Wine Club right after this interview.
Thank you.
So I invite you to do the same because remember, you're not just gonna be in touch with Giovanni and his family and the winery, but also you're gonna have some benefits and some premier wines and access to some cool reservas that are not on the market anymore because Giovanni's keeping them like in the winery, hoping to enjoy it all by himself, but he must share with us too. So, last question. If you be on a desert island, what bottle of wine do you want with you?
So if I have to pick a bottle of wine among my production, I would go with a wine called Alba, which is a good wine quality speaking, but there's a lot of feelings in there because it's a wine that my sister and I made a few years ago to honor our dad who passed away a long time ago. And I took care about the winemaking. It's like an Nebbiolo made in a ceramic amphora. So no wood, no stainless steel, always in there since the beginning. My sister made the label, so it's a bit different than any other label you would see from us because this is my sister, while the classic line was made by a painter we still work with when we need new ideas on a graphic point of view. If it has to be from someone else, I'm definitely biased, but I don't care. I would pick from my girlfriend the Altalanga 655 is a new Altalanga 655 stands for meters above the sea level. So you're pretty high up as an elevation and it's a beautiful Blanc de Blanc. I love shards, bubbles, and it's a new project, a new wine. And I love that a lot.
Wow, that's fantastic. Nice. So I guess we've covered pretty much everything. It's time to wrap up the episode. If there's anything else you'd love to share with us before we close the episode, otherwise, I thank you so very much.
Thank you as well, and I invite again everyone to come here at the winery because again it's a nice experience. We always try to spend 1 hour and a half time with people showing the winery, vineyards sometimes as well if the weather is good, and we taste a bunch of wine. So if you're a wine lover, and especially if you've never been here in Roero, it could be a good point to start and get your feet wet about Roero's wines.
Nice. Grazie mille, Giovanni. Thank you so much for your time and all the best.
Thank you so much. All the best. Enjoy. Bye bye.
Grazie for being with me today and listening to The Next Generation on the Italian Wine Podcast. Alla prossima. Cin cin!